The police shooting of a young protester in Hong Kong sparks another rally, even as police defend their actions, saying the officer feared for his life.
Now for more on this story, Professor Steve Tsang joins us live from London. He's the director of the SOAS China Institute at the University of London's School of Oriental and African Studies, and also author of A Modern History of Hong Kong. Welcome, Professor Tsang. Good to see you this evening. We're seeing escalating violence in Hong Kong. What's your take on the level of unrest that we're watching right now?
I think we are looking at a further escalation of violence in Hong Kong. And it's a 6 and 2-3 situation. You have, on the one hand, the demonstrators using more violence. You have also seen police in Hong Kong escalating the scale of force that they are actually using. What I think is important is not just about the actual shooting, but how the police authorities responded after the shooting.
Well, public anger towards the police is growing, especially after that young protester was shot with the live round yesterday. With the state of public trust, can the police continue to enforce the law, and how do you expect this to play out?
Well, the police commissioner was doing all the wrong things. He started off 4 months ago with an extraordinary rapport between police and the citizens in Hong Kong. He completely squandered that, destroyed the trust between the police and the citizens of Hong Kong through the way how he managed the police force. When he simply came out yesterday evening declaring without an investigation that the police officer was clearly in self-defense and the person who was shot will be arrested and charged with assaulting a police officer, he is sending the wrong signal to the police force, and he is therefore also destroying the trust between the citizens and the police in Hong Kong. It makes things much more difficult to de-escalate.
Professor, the police commissioner's actions notwithstanding, what measures can the Hong Kong government take now to prevent more violence now, and particularly an escalation of this situation?
There are plenty of options open to the Hong Kong government. For anything like this, if you don't want to end up in a kind of escalated repression, then you have to find a political solution. And political solution requires dialogue. Dialogues that would be credible and acceptable to both sides. So unless you have the chief executive in Hong Kong holding genuine dialogues in a way that people in Hong Kong will find credible, they are not going to find a solution out of it. But dialogue is only the beginning for finding a political solution.
Well, last week we did see a dialogue between the chief executive, Carrie Lam, and members of the public. Does more like that need to happen?
Well, yes, a lot more dialogues, but the way how Carrie Lam conducted the discussions with a very small selected number of demonstrators or people who wanted to have dialogues really was not the way how to do it. She will have to accept that she will not, what she has to say would not be particularly welcome. She will have to have a sense of humility, demonstrate that she is sincere in trying to find a solution, and that she really is actually working for the interest of the people of Hong Kong. If she cannot get that through to the other side, she is not going to be able to persuade people in Hong Kong to call an end to the unrest.
Professor, whether those dialogues, I mean, the one we've seen, and whether there will be more in the future, whether they'll make a difference or not remains to be seen. But pro-government lawmakers are now pushing the government to enact the emergency regulations ordinance to perhaps restore order in the city, to force it in a sense. What does using the emergency law mean?
Well, what it would mean is that the normal legal requirements in terms of detention and charging of those arrested will be suspended. It will enable the government in Hong Kong to detain large number of people for much longer than they are able to do at the moment. The calculation is that if they use the emergency regulations ordinance power they would be able to detain thousands of people. And since you are looking at several thousand people being the core of the demonstrators in Hong Kong, they probably expect that by detaining them all, then they will put an end to it. I think they're miscalculating. The events in Hong Kong shows a much wider popular support. There will be others who will come behind those who are arrested.